Hello, my Teaserking family. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's well. I am doing fine. So, I've been watching this thing, Rome, on Netflix. It's like the Roman Empire. So, first it was Commodus from the Gladiator movie. Now I'm doing Julius Caesar's part. And it's quite interesting. The richer you get, the more power struggles you run into. The harder it is to stay number one. So when you have money and riches, people want power and they kill each other for it and they betray each other for it. And, they'll always sell for the votes. And you can see it in ancient Rome and you can see it now and you can see exactly where we're at. And we're in big trouble. So as you get more powerful, you have all this stuff. More people want it. So the best is to be a poor country, then nobody wants anything. But then as everybody jumps in and wants what you have, it's sort of like the WWF championship title. Everybody wants to be champ. And that's kind of what you got here. People vying for power. The problem here is the people in power don't have any power. The president, the Senate, the Congress are all just basically slaves to the lobbyists. I'll give you $1 million to jump off the roof. Oh, okay. And that's really the bottom line of what happens. So it's a real bad situation. And that's where we're at. It's going to end in collapse because there's nobody in control of the ship. I think the problem is government can't work, right? That's the real problem. Not the way it's run. It has to be like a team. So you need somebody who hires somebody who's qualified. Unlike most of these football teams that are hiring head coaches that don't know how to coach, you want to get good coaches that know how to run and work the game. And that's what you got in government. You don't want an election between Biden and Putin and Putin, but Biden and Trump. You don't want that election. That election serves no purpose. It just says, oh, we need a president, but neither are qualified. Trump wants to go, you're fired on his TV show. Biden doesn't know what day it is. 82-year-old men should not be running a country. Then you got like Kamala Harris, and then you got all these corrupt politicians who take the bribes and the lobbyists and all these people that are getting rich off of being in government or not answering anybody. And that'd be like, just like the Pistons rewarding the coach for having 5 wins. I think the whole idea of salary is ridiculous. I think when you're dealing with sports, it should be wins. I don't think you should pay these guys $50 million to quarterback your team or any of this shit. I'm going to pay you $5 million. And if you get us to the playoffs, you get a $10 million bonus. If you win the Super Bowl, you get another $10 million bonus. And if you don't, you get $5 million. Then you'll see the guys try and play, and they won't cry about little injuries and all this crap. But to guarantee them 40 million, there's no incentive. You gave me 40 million to do finance. There's no incentive. Now there's incentive if you say, okay, we need you to do this budget. And we need you monthly to do an actual versus forecast or budget, and variance explanation, and keep track of service agreements. And then we'll give you so much money. In other words, after you produce, you get paid. Just like the guy that comes and mows your lawn. The guy mows your lawn, I'll pay you. If he doesn't mow your lawn, I'm not going to pay you, $100 to come to mow my lawn, and then you never come out. So you got to mow the lawn, you get paid. I go to the grocery store, I buy chocolate milk, and I pay you. So everything's got to be done after the transaction. So why do you pay these guys? Why do you pay Jared Goff $50 million? For what? He doesn't deserve it. He's not worth it. Well, that's what the other quarterbacks make. No, just because you're, calling on one mistake doesn't make your mistake any better. Mahomes should get a bonus for winning the Super Bowl. That's how he should get paid. So much for each win, and then playoff wins, and then Super Bowl. So Lamar would make like $1 million, because when you add playoff wins, then he wouldn't get anything. That's how they should get paid. Performance. They don't like it, go mow lawns, paint cars. So with government, it is a necessary evil, I guess. You need somebody in charge. So do you need somebody in charge of GM or Toyota or Mercedes? Well, you need to know what you need to do. So the guys in the plant need to know what to do, and the guys in IT need to know. There's got to be some direction. Can they figure it out on their own? Probably yes. But you need the company running in a certain direction. So you need to hire somebody. See, at Mercedes or at Ford or GM, well, not Ford, at GM, they hire guys that make the company, here's your goal. Produce more cars, be more profitable, and then you get paid from that. But these are guys that know how to run a car company. You don't have that in government. You don't have, first of all, where do you get on-the-job training for it? Secondly, these should all be one terms. The fact Biden's been in office for, 10, for 50 years, or Pelosi, or any of them, it should be one term and you're done. This is a favor you're doing to represent the people. This is not a job so you can get paid by lobbyists. And that's the first problem, right? And then there should be the rule book, and that's what the rule book is. This is what we're doing. No, there's gun control. There is no gun control. You can't change it. There's no, there's the Constitution. These are the rules. It's gold and silver only, no central bank. Don't try to put one in, and it should be gone, because it's socialism, and it doesn't work, and it ruins the country, which is what it's doing. So that's why you have the Constitution. So you have the rules. All you need is people to take care of the rules and make them follow them. Just like in football, you got four downs to make 10 yards. You can't. Well, you know what? We're going to make it 5 downs or 6 downs, or why 10 yards? Let's make it 5 yards. No, that's the rule. 4-10. No you follow the Constitution. It's the guide. It's what the refs look at. No central bank. The money should be gold and silver. Well, there's a reason they put it in. It's the only thing that works. They're not idiots. They've seen the Romans and the French and the Spanish, Amsterdam, and you see what the English has done. So that's the only way it works. Now what do we have? Oh, yeah, we have massive inflation, and we're not using gold and silver, and the dollars are worthless, and we're ruining the economy, and we're ruining the country because some motherfucker said, let's put in a central bank. That is not in the Constitution. So you're not playing by the rules. So you're not allowed to play unless you play by the rules. So that's why I don't know how you find somebody to be president, but it has to be like the NFL. The owner is going to hire the coach and the GM. And if they're like the Lions, they fire them every 2 years and bring on somebody else, right? Then you find a not a Bill Belichick. I don't like that guy. You find a Lombardi, you find a Hank Stram, you find a Bill Walsh, and that's who you want to run your team. And that's what you need to run the country. You need smart leaders. So you're watching the Roman thing, and there's Marcus Aurelius, and you're watching him. Wondering, I'm looking at white clear, and then I realize it's from my shade. Yeah, I see it. Okay, I know what it is. So you had Marcus Aurelius running Rome, and it worked perfectly. And then as soon as Nero comes in, or Commodus, or some of these other idiots, there it goes. So it shouldn't be a mystery how to run it. You don't have whatchamacallit, you don't have gladiator games. You don't need all these wars. You just simply, here's how we're going to run it, and we run it. So the army should be defensive. Russia's got it right. He's not aggressive. He's basically defending Russia. He's not attacking. He's not going to take Romania and Poland and Hungary. He's not after them. He's not after Ukraine. He wants to get back the Russian cities that the U.S. gave to Ukraine. But Ukraine's always been part of Russia. If you look at World War II, look what Hitler, he went after Kiev and he went after Ukraine. So that's what it should be. It should be a defensive army to defend. And that's it. The money should be sound. It should always be gold and silver and no central banks. And everything would be fine. But when you start fucking around with the rules and changing the constitutions, having gun control, having money not backed by gold, having central banks. Why does every country have a fucking central bank now? We wonder why the world's falling apart. Oh, yeah, because you got bad money. Nothing will ruin a country more than bad money. That's it. That's what we have. This is worthless. This is what this class is about. You buy this because this is worthless. This has value. So you stick with this because you can't print this. So it can never lose its value. I mean, it's just simple things. But, you're watching this Rome stuff and you watch the other stuff and then you realize what the hell is going on. And it's always corrupt politicians. It's always a Madoff. There's always the lobbyists paying them off to do favors for them. Where's this coming from? Who's allowing this? Oh, the people in charge, because they like getting the free money. So they give up their soul and say, yeah, I'll vote for whatever you want. I'll vote for, give me money. It's insanity. And that's our problem. And that's our problem in the whole world. Now, Russia and China and BRICS have said, hey, we can go back to gold. And that'll fix it. Amazingly, yes, that will fix it, going back to gold. If we would just go to a gold standard, all our problems would go away. But we don't have 8,000 tons in our Fort Knox. So that's the big problem. So we'll see what's going on. All right, so we'll come back to this later. Let's go to baseball. Big day for me yesterday. It's funny the way your mind works and how your confidence goes up and down. Jesus Christ, Philadelphia started. It's not even 12 o'clock yet. All right. 1:35 is the next game. Arizona and Philly, top of the first. So we looked at yesterday's games. Huge fucking day. Detroit over 9. Detroit against their 6.0 ERA guy goes against a 5.0 ERA. And Detroit gets a whole 1 run with their 5.0 against a 5.0 ERA pitcher. What are you looking at? So I have Detroit over 9, 3 units. I lose. I got the 49ers under 9. They had 2 good pitchers going, and Cardinals win 9-4. I didn't know the Cardinals could score 9 runs. So I lose the first 2. And then Katie bar the door. I have Philadelphia. They win 12-1. I have Minnesota over 8. They win 10-2. I have Cleveland. They win 6-3. I have Baltimore under 8 as their aces were going. Bianco, who had the no-hitter against the Tigers, 5-1. Houston wins. I got Baltimore under 8. I have Seattle. They win 9-0. I have Atlanta over 9, 8-3 with the Yankees. I got Colorado, which wins 8-7. And I have the Dodgers that win 7-2. What a fucking day. So I lose the first two, win the next two, 4-6. So I go 6-2 yesterday. Not bad. Not bad at all. And again, the Tiger game, I mean, their pitcher has a 60 ERA. The other pitcher had a 5. So to say go over. And here's where batting averages kind of fuck you up. I know the Tigers don't hit very well, but the White Sox hit worse, scored 5 runs. How the Tigers can't get 9 runs? It's a lot of it's the manager. He's in over his head. He's okay. So back to Rome. He's a bad politician. He's a bad manager. He needs to go, but nobody recognizes that. Look at the Pistons. I mean, Detroit's got the worst sports of any city right now. Look at the Pistons. Why the guy wins 5 games or 10 games? Why is he still there? I mean, after losing your first 20, why are you still there? At what point do you recognize that the guy sucks? And yet they paid him a lot of money. He was the highest paid coach. And he wins 10 games. And why are you paying him so much? Again, if you go back to paying him per win, maybe they win another 20 games. It's funny when there's incentive and when there isn't any incentive. We're going to pay you $10 million for this year. He doesn't care. I'll go coach the Pistons for $10 million. And maybe we'll win 5 games. Who gives a shit? But if I don't make any money until I win, yeah, they're going to be doing laps for a week to get ready, and we're going to have good plays. And if you can't shoot, you're going to the minors or whatever they do in basketball. It should be like baseball. If you can't play, you're down. And I wouldn't have this 3-point shit. My players we're gonna shoot layups and dunks. We're not shooting 3-point shots. I'll bring back Magic and Isaiah and Bird and McHale and Pierce and fuck you. That's how I would do it. But I mean that you're rewarding this coach. Obviously can't coach, the Tiger coach. I would never would have hired him because he coaches Houston. They win the World Series and he denies he knows they're banging the garbage can. Well, that's incompetence. Then you don't know what you're not in charge of your team. If you don't know that they're doing that, you're fired for not knowing because you should be in control of the team, or you're lying that you knew they were doing it and now you're saying you didn't know. So either way, I'm never hiring you, and I don't think you won them the title. I think they had Verlander and Altuve and those guys. So that's it. I did see Max Scherzer starting finally today. So he's been hurt. This is his first one. Verlander, I see, is hurt again or out. He missed the rotation this week, so I'm not sure how long he's out. But it'll be good to get Scherzer back, but he'll probably go 4 or 5 innings. But, I mean, at what point do you recognize that the guy's, you're running a business. You got a coach in the NFL who, like Carolina, Washington, the Giants. At what point do you realize that, no, you don't get 5 years to build. You can't build. You need to spot talent. Either you can spot talent or you can't. If you can't spot talent, I don't need you. I don't have 5 years. It would be like GM. Well, we'll wait 5 years for you to design a car that sells. Because our cars suck, or Ford or something. So therefore, you got 5 years to design a car. No. Right now, you come on board, we make some cars that we can sell. You figure out how to sell them. You get marketing, whatever. And that's how it should be in baseball. No, no, no. You don't get 5 years. You don't get 2 years. You come in, you start winning. Either you know how to win or you don't. It's a talent, it's a skill. Either I can pick football games or I can't. I don't need 5 years to pick football games. And you see me on the fly go, oh shit, my trends aren't going to work because all these new coaches and quarterbacks, I must come up with another idea, which I did right on the run, which is basically offense and defensive points and ranking the teams based on how strong their defense is and how weak their defense is. That's the key to it. I figured that out. I didn't need 5 years to figure it out. I needed about 2 weeks. Just needed a different way to look at it because my trends were working perfectly until they didn't work because the variables changed too much. So that's what you have is really bad management. The good coach. That's why I don't know how you hire a coach with no experience. The Lions, the Tigers, it's all the teams here, right? The Pistons. How do you hire this guy? Where are all the good coaches? Go to college. Get the guy from Connecticut. Get the guy from Ohio State or whatever, whoever wins. Calipari, Petrino, Bobby Petrino. Get Urban Meyer to coach. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just get a guy in who knows how to coach, knows how to win, and make the incentive on the win. Don't just, here's $10 million to coach the team. Like Dak Prescott. Sorry, Dak. You're going to get so much per win. You're going to get so much if we win the division. You're going to get so much for each playoff win. And you're going to get so much to win the Super Bowl. And you wouldn't have to pay Dak very much because he's not going to win too many games. You might win the division, and he's not going to win any playoff games. So I'm curious if Dak Prescott could win a playoff game if his salary was tied to it. Here's $10 million if you win the playoff game. Why are you giving the guy $50 million to lose? What's the point? Isn't he there to win? And you can do it with Lamar. Now, if you do it with Mahomes, he's going to call you on it, and Joe Burrow. And then you put a little clause if you're injured, you get a percentage of it. But that's how you need it for the government. And that's how you need it for management and the players. It should be incentive. Just like you got to mow the lawn before you get paid. You got to win games before you get paid. All right. So huge day yesterday. Now we go to today. 6/23. Got it. July 4th. We just had Memorial. Yeah, we're coming up on July 4th. Holy shit. All right. 1:35. It's 11:50. We've got Atlanta against the Yanks. Max Fried, who's been really hot, 6-3 with a 3.11 for Atlanta. Nestor Cortez, 4-5 with a 3.36 for the Yankees. So we're going to go under again here. We had Atlanta over 9 yesterday, and they went about 13 runs. See, here's where the dilemma is. The pitchers are pretty good, but they're hitting the ball well. I mean, yesterday they played a game. Now, again, the pitcher wasn't as strong. What do we want to do here? Atlanta's actually a 105 favorite. Cortez, 4-5 with a 3.3. Pretty low ERA. So here's where I get caught. I look at the starting ERA and I go, well, I'm going to play the game under. Do I play Atlanta? Do I play the Yanks? We'll go Atlanta, but I'm not betting it. It's just not good. The Yankees, you can't, Aaron Judge and those guys, they can put up 10 runs, and they do it a lot. So it's hard to go under against them. Max Fried's okay, but it's still a 3.11 ERA. So we're going to just take Atlanta. Tampa and Pitt, this was a high-scoring game yesterday. Aaron Cervallier, 2-5 with the 5.42 against Paul Scanes. Real good pitcher, new one, 4-0 with the 2. We're going to go Pitt. So now here I feel more comfortable taking Pitt, and I'll play it for 5 units. Cervallier's 2-5 with the 5.42, so he basically sucks. Scanes has been pitching good. He's a new guy, 4-0 with the 2.29. For now, we'll play him, but he could just as easily give up 7 runs. I mean, this is what gets me in baseball. The pitcher like this, 2.29 ERA, you bet the under, and he gives up 8 runs in the first inning, and you're like, okay, first of all, why is the manager leaving him out there? Secondly, if he's got such a good ERA, why is he giving up hits and runs? And then thirdly, the fact that baseball's every day and this guy's pitching every 5 days, it's not going to be consistent. He's not going to come out every fifth day and do the same. I think that's the problem with the 5 day. It's too long. You get out of rhythm. I think that's why you need to go 4 days. Go back to the 4 day routine. And then he gets into a groove. Okay, 3 days off and then pitch, 3 days off and pitch. And I would bet he probably keeps his his ERA, and he doesn't have that bad game of, don't I played, don't tell me, and we can ask Bobby when he returns. Bobby was an outfielder, so he played every day, but I wouldn't want to play every fifth day. I would lose my mind. I'd be like, oh, is it time to pitch again? So we'll take Pittsburgh here with the Scanes. Toronto and Cleveland. Cleveland won, big game. Yuzi Kikuchi 4-6 with the 3.65 against Tristan McKenzie 3-4 with the 4.48. I think you got to go over here with Cleveland. Over 8.5. We'll go 3 units. You got 2 bad pitchers, and they can hit Cleveland. What's happening is as I'm watching the Mets box score, all of a sudden Lindor was hitting 200. He's waking up. He's back in the 280s. And that's what you get. The hitters get on streaks. And you got to be cognitive of that. That's why I watch the scores. When somebody starts scoring, like St. Louis put up 9 yesterday. Okay, they're starting to hit. Keep an eye on them. Don't know what that is. Chicago and Detroit. Well, we know we can't bet this game over. Even if I'm pitching, it's gonna go. It's not. They're not gonna score. Jonathan Cannon 1-1 with the 3.34 against Reese Olson 1-8 with the 3.39. You got to go under here because Detroit clearly can't score, and I'm not going to bet it because it's Detroit, but. Reese Olson, I don't know what the big deal. He's 1-8 with the 3.39. Why is this guy such a big thing? Oh, his ERA. Well, his ERA ain't 1 anymore. It's 3.39. He clearly has problems. He pitched well in Georgia because that's where he's from, Atlanta. But he's been really giving up 5-6 runs a game. So I don't trust him. White Sox, neither team can hit here, so we'll go under, but I'm not betting it. Boston, Cincinnati, 1976 World Series. Since he's won 65, 9.5, we got Zach Kelly for Boston. 2-1 with the 1.75 against Nick Lodolo, 8-2 with the 2.76. I'm going Cincinnati. We'll go 3 units. Because I looked at Zach Kelly. I go, 2-1 with the 1.75. And the thing is, the longest stint he's had is 3 innings once. So he's a bullpen guy. So he's going to go, 2 innings, 3 innings? So you can't count on him in his 1.75 for more than 3 innings, maybe 4. Lodoto is a starter. He's 8-2 with the 2.76. He's been pitching well. So I think Cincinnati at home. Boston with a huge home field advantage with the short wall, and they know how to hit to it, but not this game's in Cincinnati. Seattle, Miami. Seattle won 9-0 yesterday. Seattle's a 155, 7.5 favorite. Bryce Miller, 6-5 with a 3.46 against Kyle Turner, 0-0 with the 4.50. Who the hell knows? I'm going to lay away. Baltimore, Houston, we had this game, 7 unit. We had it under, 2 good. We had that no-hitter guy going. Today we got Albert Suarez, 3-1 with a 2.05, who's been a bullpen guy who's starting to start against Framber Valdez, 5-5 with a 3.91. So the question is Suarez. Let's see, has he gone more than 5 innings in his last few starts? He went three, three, 3 2/3 against the Yankees, gave up 3 runs. 5 innings against Atlanta, shut him out. 5 innings against Toronto, 5 innings against Tampa, 4 innings against the White Sox. So he's been starting 1, 2, 3, 4 the last 5 games, never going over 5. So it's really hard to figure him out. Then it gets into the bullpen, and let's see, Baltimore's bullpen. I have to update this today. It's a 352. Okay, Houston's been hitting the ball. Altuve's been hitting the ball. Valdez 3-9. I'm going to leave this game alone. Don't like Suarez. I don't like him yet because he only goes 5 innings. Frisco, St. Louis. Had this game under. St. Louis put up 9 runs yesterday. Finally starting to hit. Logan Webb for Frisco, 6-5, 2.99. Sonny Gray, 8-4 to 2.95. Well, we got to go under here. St. Louis under 7.5. And we'll go 3 units. I like Sonny Gray, and he's 8-4 to 2.95. See, what you're really saying is, are we going to get where the guy gives up 6 runs in the first inning, my 2.95 ERA guy, or is he going to pitch to the 2.95? That's the whole bet, and that's what we're realizing, and that's why it's very difficult. Is you see Sonny Gray 8-4, 2.95, you're expecting him to go 7 innings and give up a run or 2. And the same thing, Logan Webb for the 49ers, 6-5 with it. So you're expecting the pitchers to pitch to their ERAs, but it's an average, so we don't really know. And this is what makes this interesting: is you don't really, your expectations are a little bit cloudy, in that you're thinking, well, this will be 5-6 runs, maybe less. And we'll see. I mean, we hope neither, but you can't bet that Sonny Gray is going to give up 7 runs or Webb's going to give up 7 runs because of their ERAs. That's the problem. You can't anticipate them going off schedule. So if I got a 2.95, I'm expecting you to be close to your average. And, throw a one-hitter, give a shutout. That these guys could do it with their low ERAs. It shows you they know how to pitch and get the job done. So we will see. So I'm taking the game under because of the low ERAs in anticipation that they hit their averages. Kansas City and Texas. Here we go. Alex Marsh for KC, 5-4 to 4.37, and Max Scherzer, first game of the season, has been injured. What do you do with Max? He's great when he's pitching, but now I'm sure if he wasn't ready, he wouldn't be pitching. So I'm expecting at least 5 innings out of him. And, it gives the whole team a lift. The offense comes alive and everything. They got such a bad offense, Texas. Normally, this would probably be a Texas bet because Alex Marsh is 5-4 to 4.37. So there's really nothing I can do in this game because if Scherzer does what he normally does, they're not going to hit him and the game goes under, or Texas wins, because Texas should hit this Alex Marsh. But they got 4 guys that can't hit 200. Again, it's amazing how if you put incentives on the players instead of just giving them a salary and say, well, okay, if you hit 300, you make so much money for so many home runs, for so many RBIs. All of a sudden, nobody's hitting 150 anymore. We'll send you down to the minors. The Tigers have like 3 guys in the minors because they can't hit 200. It's hysterical. What are they doing up here? All right, so I'm going to leave it go, but we will note Max Scherzer is back. Washington, Colorado had this game over. It won. Jake Irvin, Washington, 5-6 with the 3.24. Kyle Freeland, 0-3 with a 13.21. Over under 10.5. Yeah, you got to go over in the Colorado games, right? Colorado over 10.5, but I'm not going to bet it. Minnesota, Oakland, Super Bowl 1976. John Madden, Old Man Willie, Bolitnikoff, and the worst quarterback to ever get to the Super Bowl, Fran Tarkenton. Minnesota minus 185.8. Pablo Lopez 6-6 with the 5.63. Hulk Hogan here is 1-0 with the 2.37. The Hulkster is not very good. Let's look at the Hulkster. Interesting. You can go from wrestling to baseball pitching. Very impressive. Although he is from Lou Lafayette, so we do give him credit. He's pitched in 6 games, 5 innings, 6 innings, 5 2/3, 3 1/3, and 5 1/3. The most he's given up is 4 runs the first game against Texas, and then it was 0-3, 0-2-3. So you're going to get, and again, this isn't 5 innings. So you're thinking it's 9 innings. Oh, that's pretty good. 5 innings, that's not good at all. So I don't know how his ERA is 2.37. It's really about 5 because he's doing it in 5 innings. He's not pitching 9 innings and giving up 3 runs. So this ERA is not right. Pablo Lopez. So we're going to go over here. We'll go mini over, and it's 8. And we'll play this for 5 units. Milwaukee, San Diego. This game's in San Diego. San Diego's a 135 favorite, 7.5. Tobias Myers, 4-2 with a 3.26 from Milwaukee. Michael King, 5-4 with a 3.49 for San Diego. I have no idea. This should be an over because it's 7.5 would be my guess. I'm not going to play it. And then the last is the Mets and the Cubbies. I had the game predicted right yesterday. I didn't play it. The over-under was like 10.5. Both pitchers were like 3s. So how is this game getting over 10? And it didn't. It was like 5-2 or something. It was like 7-8 runs. So the under did go through because the 10.5 over is ridiculous. Here it's more normal. You got an 8.5 over. The Mets, Luis Cervino, 4-2 with a 3.52. Javier Assad, 4-2 with a 2.75. This should be an under game. Yeah, Cervino. Okay, so we're going to play this game under. Cubbies under 8.5. And we'll play it for 3 units. All right. And that'd be your games today. So none of the big pitchers going except for Scherzer, but it's his first game. So we took Atlanta. We've got Pitt. We took Cleveland over 8.5. We got Detroit under 8.5. Cincinnati, the St. Louis under 7.5, Colorado over 10.5, Minnesota over 8, and the Cubbies under 8.5. The bets are Pittsburgh 5 units, Cleveland over 8.5, 3, Cincinnati 3, St. Louis under 7.5 for 3, Minnesota over 8 for 5, and the Cubbies under 8.5 for 3. So as you can see, as we realize how hard it is to pick, we reduce our bets, and we kind of look at we try to get more careful on our over-unders because we realize the pitchers, the ERA doesn't mean anything. It's a little bit of a starter between the pitchers going 5 and 6 innings and the bullpen coming in and their ERAs. So you got guys with 6, 7 ERAs. What are they doing in the bullpen? What in God's name are they doing? See, I think this is where analytics comes in. So they say, you know what? We're going to just follow every pitch off and wear out your first pitcher. So the counter move was fine. We'll just pitch him 100 pitches, and then we'll go to our bullpen, and we'll have 10 guys in the bullpen. So now you can't just hit foul ball after foul ball. You're going to have to hit the ball. And the offense hasn't adjusted. There's too many 200 hitters who I'll look at the box scores and the guys hitting 220, and he's 0 for 3 with a walk, and they lose 2-0 or 5-0, and you're like going, yeah, the walks are really helping, aren't they? They're not. I need somebody who can hit the ball. So that's where we're at with it. So again, being analytical, we adjust to understanding the variables. We understand the nature. It's every day. You're not going to get the same results. You are looking for streaks. Like St. Louis scored a lot yesterday. Let's see what happens today. People start hitting and people stop hitting. They go in an 0-20 slump and they go 10 for 15. So you're trying to ride that. You're trying to ride hot streaks. You're trying to go with the streaks. That's what we always do in football. So but you must realize it's every day. And you must realize that everything's an average. It's not football. It's not, I got Mahomes and it's once a week. That's what's so much better about football. It's so much easier. Anyway, so that's today's baseball. Now, I did my homework yesterday, and we're going to go through college football week 1 as promised. So, what I did is I went through my guide, and it tells you the quarterbacks. So, you look at Arizona, and it says, here's your quarterback. And you can see because he's bold that he was the quarterback last year. Now I know this guy. He's a very good quarterback. So all I'm looking for is do I have my quarterback back? Or is it like this is Arizona State and I don't have my quarterback. I got a new freshman. Okay. So I know what to do I don't care by week 3. I don't care that he's new and he's a freshman, he's a transfer. I'm looking at the box score. I'm going, how is he doing? Oh, he threw 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's throwing 380 yards a game. They've switched their offense and it's working. In other words, let's look at Tyler Van Dyke. We know he's good. Now he's at Wisconsin. But they had the SMU guy last year, and he didn't do anything. But let's see what Van Dyke does. Let's see if they figured out how to let Van Dyke be himself and throw for 40 touchdowns and 350 yards a game. Let's see if Van Dyke's Van Dyke again. Sort of like Jordan Love, he was good his junior year at Utah State, not his senior year. They made changes. They brought in a different coach. He fucked up the offense. And that's the problem with some of these guys. And that's why when you draft, you've got to run the offense that the quarterback can run. You can't run an offense like the Jets. You can't run an offense that only Aaron Rodgers can run, but all these other guys couldn't run it. That's ridiculous. So you've got to run an offense. So Aaron Rodgers can run the Jets offense, but Zach Wilson obviously couldn't. And now you've got Russell Wilson at Pittsburgh. You've got to run an offense like the Seattle offense that he's comfortable with, not like this Denver offense, although he didn't do bad at Denver. I don't know what happened with him and Sean Payton. It's really confusing. But I think Sean Payton will run a good offense for Bo Nix. I'd be curious with Atlanta and Penix. The Bears will have no clue how to run an offense for – nobody runs the Oklahoma offense in the pros. You can't run it. It's called defense. Will not let you run that offense. Or the Alabama or Ohio State offense can't be run in the pros. So all these quarterbacks are worthless. So will Pittsburgh run an offense for Russell Wilson? That's the key, and that's what you'll find out. So in the first couple of weeks, I'm looking at returning starters. I'm looking for who's new and who's still there, like Fajita, this for Arizona, very good quarterback. Cam Rising, he was hurt, very good quarterback, best quarterback in the country. So you're looking at these guys, and then you're looking at, okay, the starter's gone. He's transferred or he's graduated. Then we start looking at who's next. And we start looking at, is Is a new quarterback coming into the program, or he's been there a couple years, or is he a transfer like Tyler Van Dyke from Miami? So Wisconsin doesn't have a new quarterback per se, but they have a new quarterback to their system. Van Dyke's been playing 3 years. And Miami is such a bad coach team that he said, fuck that. And he's went on to Wisconsin. So they've got a Van Dyke who's very good, probably the best quarterback in the Big Ten, if they allow him to be the best quarterback in the Big Ten. So we will see. But a very good quarterback. And anyway, so that's what we want to see the first few weeks. Okay, we know Van Dyke. He's at Wisconsin. We know how good he is. We know the guy at Arizona. We don't even have to look at the box scores for him. He'll light it up. However, now the coaching staff went to Oregon State, and it's really confusing why he didn't go with. That's a red flag. My quarterback didn't come with me. And then what's the new coach going to do? So Van Dyke was really good, and they brought in Cristobal, and he fucked him up. Terrible offensive coordinator. He brings in the guy from Michigan who sucked at Michigan, and he brings him to Miami, and he sucked at Miami. I think he's at Maryland now, Gaddis. So they fucked up Van Dyke. So you got to be careful. The new coach comes in, like the guy at Arizona. Is he going to fuck up Fajita or not? Now, Cam Rising gets the same coach at Utah as he's been working with. Not a problem there. Then you got to look at Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. Oh, shit, he's new. They have a new offensive coordinator. He wasn't that great at Duke last year. Anyway, he was like 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. It was really, he ran a lot. Hey, Greg and John. Why baseball so early? I don't know. They schedule them. Philadelphia's already playing, and most of these games are on at 1:30. So Sundays they schedule early. So that's what you're looking at. Is the coach going to fuck up the quarterback, or is he going to help the quarterback? So that's why you need to know who's consistent. So that's why we look at Utah and Cam Rising and the same coach. And we look at it's hard to find. Georgia, same coach, same quarterback. And then you look at everything's different at Washington. Everything's different at Oregon. Oregon's got the same coach, but they got Gabriel. And then you've got Michigan, a new coach, new quarterback. Washington, a new coach, a new quarterback. So you got to see how these guys do. But you got to know their new quarterbacks. So what I've done, let's go through the games. And I basically make the notes. The next step is to look at the coaches. So let's go through it. Florida State, 12.5, 53.5 to Georgia Tech. Florida State with a new quarterback as Travis is hurt and gone. Somehow he got drafted. Shows you how stupid. Yeah. How do you draft him and not draft Hartman? What are they thinking? And Georgia Tech has a returning starter. So actually, Florida State's guy, I'm going to put new and transfer. So Buglia has played, but he's a transfer. So now with this NIL rules, what do I got? And that helps me pick the first couple of weeks. After that, I don't need it because then I just see what's going on. And I see, I see what the players are doing. SMU and Nevada, SMU 23, 56.5 over under. And both quarterbacks are returning. So that's what I looked at yesterday. I saw Nevada's quarterback's coming back. I don't know how good he is, but he's coming back. My next move is to look at the coaches and then to kind of read the analysis. So there'll be a new coach. He's going to run the air raid. They're going to run an up tempo. Okay, now I'm going to mark the team more over than under because if they're going to throw a lot up tempo, they should score more. And it'll tire out their defense versus a running type of team that's more of an under, Army, Navy, who are going more passing anyway. All right. North Carolina, Minnesota. Minnesota is a 1.5 point favorite, 50.5. And both quarterbacks are new. Both coaches are not, and neither of them I don't believe they're transfers. So you have two new quarterbacks starting. You're expecting them to have to learn the system and have to learn the game. It's one thing to practice, it's another thing live, as we know. So both are new. So I'm going to play that game under more carefully because I don't know what I got. I know I got new quarterbacks. One could be Joe Montana or Bill Montana. We're not really sure. Coastal Carolina and Jacksonville State. Now here's where the money's made, but you've got to really analyze these teams. So Jacksonville State, I got them as an over team. They're 4.5 and 60. Coastal Carolina's quarterbacks returning, and Jacksonville State is new. So I got a new quarterback for Jacksonville State, but I got a returning for Coastal Carolina. Now, here's the kicker. The coach is Rich Rodriguez. Well, we know he runs that fast tempo. So we already know what we're going to get there. That's why I marked him as an over because of the coach. Then that's the other thing. You get the coaches changing. What type of offense and defense are they going to use? So that's why it's hard week 1 and 2 to really sit down and go, what do I got? That's why it was hard for Michigan last year because they didn't play anybody. So you had no idea until really the Ohio State game. So you're 13 games into it until you figure out what type of team Michigan is. Because when you're playing a bunch of high school teams and Illinois and Iowa and the whole Big Ten sucked, you have no idea. They're not playing a good team. And then finally Ohio State. So it was really hard to figure out Michigan. So that's why usually 2 or 3 games. I know Jacksonville State's going to run that West Virginia offense, but can they? Do they have the quarterback for it? Can they run it? I know what they want to do, but is it going to be effective? And here's Rich Rodriguez on his 18th team, living off of the West Virginia because if you'd looked at him only at Michigan, I don't know why you'd hire him. And again, this guy should be paid on number of wins. All right, I'll give you 500,000 a win. I'm not going to give you $5 million. I'm going to give you so much a win. I want your full attention. Yeah, I'd be a tough mother to negotiate with. Florida Atlantic, Michigan State. Michigan State's 11.5 with the Oregon State coach and quarterback. Both teams have new transfer quarterbacks. So we have to see how they fit the system. The over-under is 48.5. We don't know. We think Michigan State will be better. They got a better coach, but we don't know. Again, but they're getting transfer quarterbacks, so they do have experience. It's not the freshmen coming in going, oh, wow, there's a stadium with all these people in it. So that's what you have there. Temple, Oklahoma. Here's a doozy. We got Oklahoma 41.5 and 60 over under. They've got a new quarterback, and Temple's got a new quarterback who's terrible. That's why the line's so high. So Temple's going to come in with a very bad quarterback. So now we got Oklahoma with their new quarterback. So the question is, how big are they going to kill them? So you basically can write in Temple 0 and then Oklahoma, 50? And at what point does the coach pull them? And so I don't know. You're probably better off going Oklahoma minus 35 than you are going over 54. Because over 54 means you're going to get help from Temple. You're not going to get help from Temple in this game. Temple will give you 0. So it's a shutout, and then probably Oklahoma laying the 35. Western Michigan and Wisconsin 23.5, 52. Again, they got Van Dyke, so he's but he's transferred in. And Temple and Western is new, and they got a transfer. So again, they're not going to a brand new quarterback. They're going to a transfer quarterback. Now they're going to a guy who's probably second string. So he's not very good anyway. See, that's the thing with this transfer portal. You're getting somebody else's garbage, like Uglia Buglia. Uglia Buglia, if he was still at Clemson, he wouldn't be playing. At Oregon State, he was already benched. So now he's going to try Florida State, and they're going to give him 4 or 5 games before they bench him. I'm kind of surprised the coach would even start this guy. How much do you have to prove? We'll use my Excel, okay, do a spreadsheet, and I can't. Then I go to another job, and I can't. So now you hire me, and why would you think I can do Excel when I couldn't do it at the other jobs? So why do you think he can quarterback when we've already seen him suck at Clemson and suck at Oregon State? Why are you thinking he's going to be good at Florida State? He's not. He'll suck there too. All right. TCU and Stanford. TCU minus 9.5, over under 61. Both the quarterbacks are returning. TCU, look for them to have a much better year. Sonny Dykes is a very good offensive coach, very explosive. You saw what they did to Michigan, but they had the deer in the headlights last year because they went to the playoff championship game against Georgia, and Georgia showed them what they're, they put the whoop ass on them, the smackdown, the people's elbow, anything you want to hear. And so a lot of their guys graduated. They lost their quarterback, the great receiver. TCU wasn't as good as they should have been coming off of that. They should have been able to recruit well. But usually a real good team like TCU, you've seen it with Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State. They bounce back the next year. And I would look for TCU to come on strong. Stanford absolutely sucks. Their quarterback sucks, even though he's returning. So I actually like TCU here. I just think their quarterback will do better. And I just love the coach. Because the coach has proven it elsewhere. Now he's here, and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm getting from the coach. Just like Miami's coach, Cristobal. He sucked at Oregon. Why is he going to be good here? He's not. He's terrible. So, again, you're looking at the coach, and you know what you have. The confusing ones are Wisconsin's Bielema. He was good at Wisconsin. He goes to Arkansas, and he sucked. And now he's at Illinois, and you're like, which coach am I getting? Why are you so good and so bad? That's unusual. Either he's a good coach or he's a bad coach. Like Nick Saban, he was okay at Michigan State, and he was great at LSU. He goes to the pros. He doesn't get Drew Brees, so he cries and quits. And then he goes to Alabama, and he does what he did at LSU and pretty much at Michigan State. He couldn't handle Michigan State because Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame took all his recruits. Down south, LSU, he had no competition. And then Alabama, they had a better payroll, so he was able to pay them. Okay, so we like TCU there. Nebraska, UTEP. Nebraska's 27-50, and UTEP's quarterback's returning, and Nebraska's is new, and he's a freshman. And you're laying 27 points with a new freshman quarterback. Good luck with that one. I don't see Nebraska being 27 points over anybody. So UTEP, we'll see how good or bad they are. This is where you learn about the teams, is this game. It's a pretty decent game, decent competition. So UTEP, if they hang in there, we'll bet on them. If they get blown out by Nebraska, does it tell us how good Nebraska is? Probably not. It's more to really tell us how good UTEP is. All right. So Penn State, West Virginia, both quarterbacks are back. West Virginia's got an excellent quarterback. Penn State's is good, but they didn't win with him, although he had good stats, like 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. However, he didn't beat Michigan or Ohio State. So take that for what you will. So both quarterbacks return, which could mean to lead to a higher score. Again, a returning quarterback's experienced, you're going to get more points. A new quarterback, it's going to take him a half just to learn where the center is versus the guard. What he's looking at, he's looking at the crowd. I mean, he's not going to just pick it up. The guy who's been there before knows what to do, right? So sort of like the first date or the 10th date. The first date, you're kind of trying to get a feel, but by the 10th date, you're comfortable with the girlfriend. So it's the same thing. The first game, they're not comfortable. By 7 or 8 games, they're comfortable. And if they're returning, like the Arizona guy, he's comfortable. He's played last year. All right. So, yeah, West Virginia is very live with the quarterbacks, probably an over, too. It's 50. West Virginia scores a lot at home. Miami, Ohio, Northwestern. Northwestern's 3.5, 44. Miami of Ohio has a very good quarterback. They're a very good MAC team. And Northwestern is okay, and they got a new quarterback. So 3.5, I think you got a live dog with Miami of Ohio here. But again, Miami of Ohio's quarterback's returning. Northwestern's isn't. So how can you bet a lot on Northwestern's quarterback? He's new. You don't know what you got. You don't know if he's great or terrible. So there's too much risk involved. Akron against Ohio State. Ohio State 50, over under 56. Akron's new transfer quarterback and Ohio State's new transfer quarterback. So Ohio State's got Will Howard from Kansas State, so we know him. Akron's quarterback, we have no idea. He's also new and a transfer, so we will see. Probably not very good. So with Will Howard, he's going to want to get comfortable, right? You can get only so comfortable in practice. You need the real game. That's what I bitch at the NFL. They don't play the guys in the exhibition games. They're just doing these practices. Well, Detroit will practice against Philadelphia. Well, that doesn't help anybody. So that's what you're looking for, is to get them in a game so they know what to take. So look for Ohio State, Will Howard. We know what we have with Will Howard. We don't know what we got with the Akron guy, but they're pretty bad anyway. Indiana against Florida International. Indiana minus 1952. Florida International's quarterback's returning from last year, so he'll be more comfortable. Is he any good? Well, that's our next phase. And Indiana's got a very good transfer quarterback. So even though he's new, he's a transfer. He's very good. I think he came from like Coastal Carolina or one of those schools with a very good offense. So Indiana got a very good quarterback. They could blow out Florida. So he's new to the school, but he's comfortable in that he knows how to quarterback. Now the question is, will the Indiana coaching staff coach to him? He's comfortable, but you got to coach his system. If you coach his system, he'll do great. If you don't, like they had Michael Penix, they didn't coach to him. He looked terrible one year. He hurt his knee. Then he goes to Washington. He's a superstar because the board said, this is the system we're going to run, and you should be fine at it. And he was. That's the difference. So now Penix is on Atlanta. Are they going to run a system for Penix? Probably not, because they don't have a good offensive coordinator anyway. So this is Atlanta's problem. You don't just draft the player, you run the system for the player so he can excel in it. That's the whole idea. You put Bill Walsh at Atlanta, they're in the Super Bowl. Penix, they got running, they got receivers. He would design plays. He went to the Super Bowl with Bill Ring and Freddie Solomon and the other guy, and Joe Montana, and the other receiver, and Dwight Clark. He went to the Super Bowl with those guys. Now, Dwight Clark was okay, but he was no Jerry Rice. And everybody forgets, he went to 2 Super Bowls. Rice came for the final 3, but he was not there in '84 against the Miami. And Walsh won without the great receivers, which is why I laugh when well, the Dolphins have to get this guy to help their quarterback, and the Bears. Well, we need 5 receivers to help Caleb. If you had a good offensive coordinator, you wouldn't need that. I mean, these guys are pros. The guy you had there is probably fine. You don't need all first-round draft picks to be successful. Okay. So Indiana could be a little more explosive. Is a good quarterback. Connecticut and Maryland. Maryland 22-45. Both quarterbacks are new. Don't expect too much here. Georgia Clemson. We know they both have returning quarterbacks, and they're both returning quarterbacks. We know Georgia's got a new defensive coordinator because they didn't like giving up 15 points a game. And Clemson, we'll see. They usually have a good defense. Klubnik's not a very good quarterback. So we will see. This is the best game of the week, I think. But I don't know how good Clemson is. We know how good Georgia is. VTech Vanderbilt. VTech 13.5, 55. Returning quarterback. Vandy is a new quarterback, but he's a transfer. My guy from New Mexico State, Pavia. So he's a very good quarterback. So I think Vandy's a very live dog, especially at home against Virginia Tech. They had a decent quarterback, kind of a running option type of quarterback. But Vandy's got this quarterback from New Mexico State. So if they run the right offense for him, then you go ahead, and Vandy's a very live dog. Kent and Pitt, Pitt 23-56. Both are new quarterbacks. I would say this is probably an under. Kent, new quarterback. What are they going to do? Light it up? And Pitt, they don't light it up even when they had their regular quarterbacks. Eastern Michigan and UMass. Eastern's a 1.5-point favorite, 48. Eastern with the new quarterback who's a transfer. UMass has the returning quarterback who sucked. So take that for what you want. Colorado State and Texas, both are returning quarterbacks. Texas is 36, over under 60. Again, Ewers, he's a senior now, very good quarterback. And then Arch Manning is the backup for Texas. So you would think I thought he would get playing time last year. He didn't get any. Let's see if he gets some playing time this year if they're up 42-0. And then if he comes in and helps or hurts, does he throw picks or does he get us some more points? We will have to see. But hard to say with Texas. Colorado State, we got to look a little bit more at last year. So we're in different phases now. So we've identified the new coaches. We've identified the quarterbacks. He's a transfer. Is he any good? Some are, some aren't. Ulia Boogly is not a good one, but Tyler Van Dyke is. So you have to see the circumstances of the transfers to see if they're any good. Miami, Florida. Miami laying 3.5, 53. New quarterback from Miami. He is the transfer from Washington State. Florida's got a returning quarterback. I don't know how Miami's favored here, really. After seeing what? I mean, they're not very good. If they couldn't win with Van Dyke, they're not going to win with Ward. So I like Florida here at home dog. Now, these are not my picks yet. I haven't made any picks yet. And we will see. There you got to go to teaserking.com and get the picks. The prices are pretty much set. So it'll be, I think it's $125 for college and pro for the week. If you buy the month, it's $300. If you buy the year, I think it's $600 or $700. And then the locks are $77. You get all the locks, college or pro. Usually there's 3 or 4 lock games we got. All right, Oregon, Syracuse. Syracuse minus 15.47. Ohio with a new quarterback. Syracuse has the Ohio State course. So he's transferred from Ohio State. He sucked at Ohio State. If you can't win with Ohio State with the receivers they had, what are you going to do at Syracuse? So Syracuse fired their coach, new quarterback from Ohio State, but he's not any good. So that goes to my point. If the guy's no good, why do you want him? He couldn't play at Ohio State. Why do you want him? Ohio's quarterback, we'll see. They're a pretty good MAC team, so we'll see. I don't know. Syracuse minus 15 with a new coach and a bad Ohio State quarterback. It's not like when Joe Burrow went to LSU. That shows you how smart Ohio State is. Yeah, they had Joe Burrow. They made him third string because he couldn't run. And I think he made a mistake there, Ohio State. That's what I love is when they fuck up like that. And then he's like the best quarterback in 50 years. And you had him and you let him go because I don't know, but I hope they fired their offensive coordinator for not recognizing skill set. The guy was great. You didn't recognize it. You let him go. Are you out of your mind? So, yeah, you're gone. You can't recognize talent. We got Kennesaw State against UTSA. UTSA is 22.5. I have Kennesaw State as an under team. Both quarterbacks are new. We know Frank Harris left. 22.5, 51. I think this has to be an under. Without Frank Harris, he's got to get comfortable, right? Week 1, he's got to get comfortable. He's playing Kennesaw State, which we have no idea if they have a good offense or defense. Over under a 51, where they get that from, and a new quarterback. So I would tend to think that they're going to give him parts of the playbook because it's not an experienced guy, and they're not transfers. So this has to be an under. Boise, Georgia Southern. Boise, 10.5, 56. Now, if we superficially look at it, we have new quarterbacks for both. Georgia Southern's new quarterback is a freshman, but Boise's quarterback is a transfer. He's the freshman from USC who realizes he's not going to play, so he transfers to Boise. So, how good is he? Good enough to get recruited by USC. So you're really getting a USC skill set, not a Boise skill set. So we'll see what they do with it. But it's an FYI, so you keep an eye on it. Well, maybe the guy's good. But does Boise run the offense, the USC? No, nobody runs the USC offense. So I'm not sure. He seems to be more of like an option runner-passer type of quarterback. Hard to say right now, so I think we got to watch. But Georgia Southern, I think, will be low scoring this year because they got a freshman quarterback. It's going to take them 5 games just to get comfortable and learn the playbook. Old Dominion against South Carolina. South Carolina 17.5. Rattler's gone, new quarterback, but not a transfer. Old Dominion's got their quarterback back, so is he returning? So a little edge to Old Dominion here. 17.5, 56. I don't know, probably OD and 23.5, but you're going against an SEC team, so be careful there. North Texas against South Alabama. North Texas is a new transfer quarterback. South Alabama's got a returning, but he was a freshman last year. They still have him listed as a freshman for some reason. I don't know. South Alabama 6.5, 63. I like North Texas here. Here's where you like North Texas. A transfer quarterback who's pretty good. They're an explosive team anyway. They're an over. What are you getting from South Alabama? So, yeah, he played last year, the quarterback, but didn't light it up. UNLV against Houston. I got UNLV as an over. Their offensive coordinator likes fast pace, likes to score a lot. Houston 3.5, 56. Returning quarterback for Houston wasn't very good last year. UNLV gets a new quarterback, but they have this coach who's offensive-minded coach. I think this goes over 56. Again, Willie Fritz is an excellent coach, so we'll give Houston a little bit. Don't love their quarterback, but let's see what Willie Fritz does. But look for Houston to be a very live dog this year with a good coach. Western Kentucky, Alabama. Alabama 31.5 and 60. Love the game over. Western Kentucky's got a new quarterback, but he's a transfer and he's very good. Fucking Bama. It's got Milrose, who we still hate because he fumbled against Michigan, cost us the game. So he's okay. We know there's the new coach, DeBoer. Look for Alabama to be explosive and not quite as strong defense. I like the over here. Western Kentucky should score on them because I think most of the Alabama players transferred out. That's the problem with college football now. The coach leaves, they all transfer. Look at primetime. He leaves, the whole Jacksonville State squad left and all went to Colorado, and he fired all the Colorado players. Like, really? None of them were any good primetime? So that was pathetic by him. And it showed when he was, 3-8 or 3-11 or whatever. So I like that game over. I think Western Kentucky, they're an explosive team anyway. They're a good team. They're not like a real bad team, and they got a good transfer quarterback in to help run it. So we'll see. Sam Houston against Rice. Sam Houston, a very low scoring team, has a new quarterback. Rice has a new transfer. Rice minus 11.5 and 50. So I kind of like Rice in the game. They're not that bad. And you could see early they played Texas very good, and they had a very good year. That's why you're looking at week one. Here's Texas is 36 to Colorado State. If Colorado State plays them 31-24, I'm banging Colorado State all year. If they lose 62-0, I probably won't. But that's what you get from the first game. It shows you the team. Nevada Troy. I got terrible call. This is the Notre Dame offensive coordinator, is the coach of Troy. Beware, he's terrible. Troy minus 16. Nevada again has the returning quarterback. Troy's a new one. Very weak offense. He couldn't do anything with Hartman. I don't think he'll do much here. So I'm surprised. The Troy coach got promoted, went to another college, and then Troy's going to this guy at Notre Dame who was a terrible offensive coordinator. So I think Troy won't score. They're going to have problems scoring. The question is Nevada. We'll see against SMU. They put up 40 points on SMU. I'll take them as a dog here, but I'm not counting it. It's probably a good under because Troy won't score this year. UCLA, Hawaii, UCLA 15.5, 54. Both teams actually have returning quarterbacks. I like Hawaii's better. Ethan Garbers for UCLA had problems last year. Again, you don't have Chip Kelly. You got a coach that doesn't know what he's doing. He was a running back for UCLA 20 years ago, but doesn't know how to coach. So this will be interesting here. So returning, we'll have to keep an eye on UCLA. Fresno State, Michigan 21-47, a new quarterback for Michigan. Fresno State's got Mikey Keene, a outstanding quarterback. Now, Fresno State has all offseason to get ready for this six-man defense, six-man front line, if Michigan still runs it. Again, Harbaugh's gone, the defensive coordinator's gone, the coach is gone, the running back, the quarterback's gone, the running back's gone. So you got kind of a different Michigan team here. The offensive coordinator, we'll see. I'm sure Harbaugh was calling all the plays. So I don't know what you got. We don't know how good he is. How good is their defense going to be? Can he run the same defense? I don't know. I think this line is ridiculous. Michigan 21. I think Fresno State scores in this game, and I think they keep it close. Notre Dame, A&M. Notre Dame with the new offensive coordinator. A&M's 1.5. Over under 49. Notre Dame with the new quarterback, Riley Leonard. Make sure I call it a transfer. And A&M, their quarterback's a returning quarterback. So we'll see. I think it'll be very hard for Notre Dame to win at A&M. Again, they don't have Hartman. A&M should be good. They got the Duke coach, who's a good coach. I think he was an A&M defensive coordinator. Went to Duke. Now he's coming back to A&M. They fired Jimbo Fisher. So we'll see how good A&M is. and because Duke wasn't great last year, and then they were good, but they weren't great. Notre Dame, they lost Hartman, and they're off. And now they should have a pretty good defense. This should be an under game because A&M normally has a pretty good defense. But again, you got a new coach. Southern Miss against Kentucky. Kentucky minus 25 and 50. A new transfer for Southern Miss and a new quarterback for Kentucky. I'm sure Southern Miss didn't get a good transfer, and Kentucky, probably a kid who was there for a year or two. Georgia State against Georgia Tech. Georgia State has a new transfer quarterback. Georgia Tech Kings is returning. Tech 19.5, 57. I would think Tech wants to get off to a good start. I don't know that Georgia State's really that good. If it is a very explosive team, then this is a good over, but I don't know with the new quarterback. James Madison against Charlotte. James Madison, 9.5 and 50. A new transfer for James Madison used to be at Washington, but obviously he couldn't handle. He's no Penix, so Penix beat him out. So now he's at James Madison, and Charlotte's got a new quarterback. I think James Madison wins this game. Wyoming, Arizona State. Arizona State 7.5, 45. A brand new quarterback for Wyoming, and a transfer who's a freshman for Arizona State. I don't get that, so I guess he was a freshman last year, and if he didn't play enough, he redshirted. I guess I don't know. But it's a transfer for Arizona State, but he's new. LQ. Thank you, LQ. I had partial scholarship for Iowa 97. Let me see. I had partial scholar for Iowa, and I watch you all year. I'm watching this replay stream for sure. Thanks, LQ. Yeah, I've been doing this since Miami beat Nebraska. Well, before then, since for sure the Michigan Ohio State games in the early 70s. I remember I had USC over Notre Dame in the Anthony Davis game. I know I had USC -7 in that game, so I think it was about 1970 I started, and I always try to figure it out. But yeah, I've been betting really since the early 70s, and you get the feel of the games, you get the feel of the players. I could tell Montana was going to be good at Notre Dame. Earl Campbell, God knows. And so you could see the players coming up, and you knew were good or not. Jerry Rice, you had no idea because I'm not watching Mississippi Valley State. But Joe Montana, yes, you knew Joe Montana. But thank you. Yeah, go ahead. And that's why I do this. New Mexico, I didn't put in. I got to go to New Mexico. They're Mountain West. I love the Big Ten is now 20 teams. Conference USA. The MAC. Mountain West. Let's go to New Mexico. Okay, and their quarterback is new. Let's quickly read. Is he a transfer? No, he was a backup. Last year's backup. All right, so New Mexico with a new quarterback. Arizona's guy is very good, returning. Arizona's -30, 54. You got to like Arizona. See, you got Arizona -30. You got Texas -36. So you got these big numbers you got to see. Both of those teams have the quarterback back. Ohio State got Will Howard from Kansas State. And then you got Alabama's got Milrose, who I think that's Western Kentucky. I'll give them a game, a little game anyway. Um, Wisconsin has Van Dyke. Nebraska, I don't get 27. Pitt, I don't get 23. And then we got Arizona 30. So Arizona should kill Nebraska and New Mexico. But we got a new coach. See, they keep throwing these variables in on us where you don't know. I don't know who the coach is at Arizona, if he's any good. Is he going to leave Fajada alone, the quarterback, or is he going to fuck him up like what happened with Van Dyke? So we will see. We know Rising will be fine. I can't wait to bet him, but he's playing South Utah the first week, so it's not on the board. It's not a real game. So I like Arizona, laying 30-54, new quarterback for New Mexico. And then we got LSU, USC. LSU laying 6.5, 66. New quarterback for LSU, new quarterback for USC. The game's in Vegas. This is over city. Here's the point about drafting a quarterback from Lincoln Riley. Anybody can play it, right? He has Jalen Hurts, and he looks like a superstar. And then he has the guy in Arizona. I can't think of his name. And it's just like anybody, just plug and play, right? That's the problem with it. They're not good quarterbacks. It's a good system. Kyler Murray. So Kyler Murray is just fast. He's not a good quarter. He's okay. And Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback, as they showed last year when he lost 7 in a row or 6 out of 7. And then he brings it with Caleb. Caleb's not going to be any better. And now here the backup throws 6 touchdowns in the bowl game, saying anybody can do it. This is the system. So is Caleb that good, or is the system that good? That's why I argue it's the system. There's this new guy, and he'll throw 40 touchdown passes because it's the system. So Caleb is not that good, and you will see he'll be another Bryce Young, and he'll be another Hurts, and he'll be another Mac Jones, Kyler Murray. It's the same thing. So we like the over in the game because LSU will light it up. Like I said, both teams have new quarterbacks. It's the system. Look for explosive, no defense. And the last game, a 9-2, is BC against Florida State. Again, we've got Florida State minus 21.5, over under of 48. BC's quarterback's returning. Florida State is new transfer, Uglia Buglia. I don't understand how you can have Uglia Buglia as your quarterback and you're laying 21.5 to anybody. What do you mean laying 21.5? Who can they beat? They can't score it. Now have a great defense. This is a good under. Again, that's what you look at. Unders, I have a great defense, Florida State, with a bad quarterback, Florida State. Look for them to be a great under. Georgia is a great under because they would win 35-0 every week when we were locking them the last few years. That's the key to it. You just couldn't score on them. So, again, you're not getting help from the other team. To bet an over, you need help. You need both teams to score a lot, and you need a fairly close game. A la like Oregon and Colorado, I went over 60, and it's 44-0 at half, and Colorado scores 6, and it's 44-6. Had it been a close game, it would have went over. But because it was one-sided, and Oregon, boom, 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 44-0 at half, they didn't score anymore. They just, and then you got this whole primetime thing. So anyway, that's what you're looking at. So we're looking at the new quarterbacks. We need about 3 weeks with them to really get comfortable. We got the new coaches, and the scores will tell you everything. And these new coordinators, and you just watch the box scores. And you got to look in the box score. How are they scoring? Are these pick sixes? Are they fumble returns? Are they kickoff returns? Or are they 5 touchdown drives? Usually you don't get 5, 6 touchdown drives in a game. Usually you're scoring on, especially like a Georgia, it's a pick six, it's a fumble return for a touchdown, and they're running the ball, running the clock, playing to their defense. So the good coach will play to his strength. And if the strength is the defense, he doesn't make unnecessary gambles. He just runs the ball into the line and punts and lets the defense win the game for him. And that's a good coach. I don't know how many good coaches are out there. All right, so that's phase 2. So we've got the line, we've got the quarterbacks. Are they new transfers, new transfers, or returning? Why do we care about that? Because if they're comfortable. So Cam Rising is going to be comfortable. Georgia quarterback, comfortable, right? Even the Miami quarterback, Ward, should be comfortable, but he's got to get comfortable out of this system. But he's played for 2 years at Washington. Now, he's not very good, but he's played for 2 years at Washington. I remember our friends saying, oh, look how he's the Heisman Trophy winner. And then he played like Oregon, and it was like, yeah, I guess not. He beat Wisconsin, who was okay. We'll see. But that's what we're looking for. UCLA, we're looking at Washington. How are they going to be? Alabama with the board. So these questions we can't answer until we've seen them play for a few weeks. So in the beginning, it's Ohio State we know, and Alabama we know, and Texas. The ones we know are who we bet on. And then Georgia Tech we know. And, we know Miami, Utah, we'll be loading up on them. TCU, we know Sonny Dykes. We got to learn Michigan State and all these coaching switches. We know Oregon should light it up, and we know Gabriel's very good. So we know all this, and that's basically what we're going to bet on in the first few weeks. There's always something to bet on. But as I say, it's risk and reward. Why bet on a UCLA Hawaii game when the risk is huge? Because we don't know anything about UCLA. A whole new coach. Garbers was okay quarterback, but you got a whole new coaching staff. The defensive coordinator left. You don't know what you got. Why bet on that? You get the same payout, right? It's 110 to win 100. I'd rather bet it on Ohio State or West Virginia or Georgia. I'd rather bet it on Georgia, a team I know I'm getting on with a good chance of winning, than to bet it on UCLA, where I really don't have a good chance of understanding what's going on. So that's really what you're looking for, is you're trying to figure out who the teams are, and that's why it takes a few weeks. We could have, James Madison might be our lock 5 weeks in a row, but we don't know that yet. But we'll watch him play, and they've got this Washington quarterback who obviously is not as good as Penix. And so you see him play, and then you can go and say, okay, there you go. Now we can bet on them. We can see they're a very good team. But you can't see that the first week. They're playing Charlotte, who sucks. It's probably a good play, James Madison, actually. But, Arizona should be good, but how's the coach? So there's variables that you've got to understand. The new coach, the new quarterback, the new offensive coordinator, what systems are they going to put in? So you're trying to learn all that. That's what we do looking at the box scores the first 2-3 weeks. Then you got to keep track of the injuries. Did I lose my quarterback? Like Utah last year, they didn't have Rising. It was a whole different team. If they had Rising, they'd have won the title. They would have beat Michigan by a mile. Wouldn't have been a close game. Michigan got lucky, didn't play Oregon or Georgia, which was a joke. Getting Alabama instead of Georgia was ridiculous, and getting Washington instead of Oregon was another ridiculous, but that's what happened. So Michigan lucked into one. Anyway, so that's it. In the NFL, it's you got some, you're looking at Atlanta with Cousins. Hopefully, Penix will be in there soon. The new coaches, there's 7, 8 coaches every year. What are these guys doing? These guys don't know how to hire, do they? Why do you have 7 new coaches everywhere? Carolina every year, Washington every year. You keep hiring new coaches, and you keep hiring bad coaches like Ron Rivera. He sucked at Carolina. Washington grabs him, and guess what? Washington fires him because he sucks there. Well, he sucked at Carolina. At what point does he become a good coach? So this is the point: is why do you take a guy that sucks thinking he's going to do better? No, if he was doing better, they wouldn't have sucked. He wouldn't be on the market. So anyway, that's what you're looking for is you're looking for the good coach. It starts with the good coach, then it goes to the quarterback. So we understand the key variables, and then we go from there. So yeah, it's we know KC and the Niners and the Rams, Sean McVay and Stafford, we're all set there. We don't need anything. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Buffalo, we got Miami, we got. It's Indianapolis, Richardson. He sucks. Is he healthy? Who's their backup? And you go all down the list, and that's what you're looking at. Anyway, so again, let's review baseball today. 105. They're just about to start. We got Atlanta, Pitt, Cleveland over 8.5, Detroit under 8.5, Cincinnati, St. Louis under 7.5, Colorado over 10.5, Minnesota over 8, and the Cubbies under 8.5. The bets are Pittsburgh, Cleveland over 8.5, Cincinnati, St. Louis under 7.5, Minnesota over 8, and the Cubbies under 8.5. So you can see we don't bet every game. We're basically basing it on the starting pitching, which is, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you got to realize that. So you're not making big bets here. Once in a while, the biggest bet I have is Pittsburgh today, 5 units, and the Minnesota over 8, 5 units. Otherwise, they're 3-unit plays. So, they're very little, betting very little just to get the bets, and nothing too serious in baseball. Verlander, I'll get serious with. Scherzer, if he starts pitching again. Kershaw we haven't seen him. Shotani doesn't pitch. So you're just looking at that. And you're trying to, there's no it's Mahomes off of a loss, we're going to bet KC. I mean, because in football, you get Mahomes the whole game. There's no pitch count. Here you get, even if you get Verlander, you only get him for 7 innings, and now you got to rely on the bullpen, and it's every 5 days. So you get Verlander today, you get Joe Blow tomorrow. And that's really the key to it, is you got to look at you got to understand that. Anyway, so that's college football. So next phase is look at the coach, and then try to, we got new offensive coordinators all over. So that's why I buy the guide to say, they're going to be a explosive, fast-paced team. I mean, it says that in there. But it doesn't always work, as Miami showed you last year. They were running an air raid. Wisconsin was running an air raid. Neither of them did shit. They don't know how to. You got to have the right talent for it. See, you can't just run an air raid with the talent you have. You have to have, I'm going to run an air raid. These are the people I need. So in other words, I'm going to bake a cake, and I'm going to bake a chocolate cake. Okay. Well, you can only do it if you have the ingredients. Do I have eggs? Do I have butter? Do I have chocolate? Whatever, flour. Do I have those ingredients? If I don't have chocolate and I'm trying to bake a chocolate cake, it isn't going to work. So if I'm trying to do an air raid offense, I better have a good quarterback, fast receivers, certain type of offensive linemen and running backs. And I'm going to tire out my defense. So certain plays I need to call. I need to be able to run the ball the rest of my defense. So there's certain things that you need to do. But again, you have to have, it's a recipe. You have to have the ingredients. I don't think these guys figure it out. It's the same thing with the ingredients on, uh, Tyler Van Dyke on Wisconsin. Well, you gotta have it to make him successful. You got to know what works for him. Ward at Miami and Oogly Boogly, I don't think anything works for him. He sucked at Clemson for a couple of years until he sucked at Oregon State last year. So you gotta learn your play. See, you can't coach and say, well, this is the system I'm running, and you got to fit. You got to fit your system to the talent you have. And if you can't do that, you can't be a good coach unless you can find players for your system. Maybe for defense, it's easier. Georgia seems to have that down. They got that recipe. We want fast players who can blitz the quarterback, good secondary, good tackling, good linebackers. So they look for fast players, and then they work, and they've been the best defense for the last 5 years. And that's really what you're looking at. Alabama kind of has that, which is probably where Georgia got it from, because their coach was the defensive coordinator at Alabama. See, that's where it worked. He was the defensive coordinator, brings in the Alabama defense, then they bring in this offense. And Georgia should have won the title last year. They were the best team by far. Michigan would have lost to Georgia by 20 points, just like they did the year before. So that's the whole key to it. So I think we covered that. Pro football is a little bit away. We'll start looking into it as we get probably more into July. July 4th is coming around the corner. Travel, I'm waiting to travel this job. Again, I had the interview Tuesday. I'm hoping for an interview this week, the 5th interview, because it's the Coke side and the Diet Coke side. So I need to talk to the treasury manager, and then they're going slow because of the inflation, in my opinion. Should we hire the guy? We're going to have to let him go because the inflation is going to kill us. So I'm sitting there with gold going, well, we'll see what happens. I should know about the trust probably in a month. That'll be nice if it's a good figure. I'm hoping. And that's it. So I'm hoping to travel soon. We'll see. Anyways, girls are fine. I'm happy for them. Jenna had to go to the clinic because she's allergic to red wine. And she's had some violent reactions to it. And so now she knows. And, I think that's my problem if I drink Coke or Diet Coke. My feet hurt, and I get gout way too often. And I'm drinking Diet Coke. I'm ready to just drink regular. There's something they put in the Coke or in the diet that is causing my problems. So I might just go to regular, but I don't want to eat the sugar. So it's driving me crazy. How much water can I have? And I got green tea right now with cinnamon. So anyway, BRICS, more countries joining. Look for them to officially go gold back system September or October. All these countries want to get out of the U.S. bullying. I don't blame them. U.S., we're basically bankrupt. I don't know what else you call it. We got $36 trillion in debt. What would you call it? So if you're $1 million in debt, what would you call it? And you make $100,000 a year, what would you call it? Are you okay, or are you going to be bankrupt because you can't pay it back? So the U.S. is at a situation where they can't afford to pay it back. It's too expensive. And the answer is not printing more money. That's why I started this class with the gold and silver on the playbook, saying we can only make gold and silver, no central banks, and we're not sticking to the rule book like the Roman times. So we have a big problem. The reason you're not supposed to go off of gold and silver is because of the inflation. Then the corrupt politicians print money, and it ends up being worthless, which is what you got. The best way to ruin your country is to have no money that's any good. So the cure is to come out with new money backed by gold, but clearly this government's too stupid to do that. Or it's run by George Soros, who won't let them do it. Hard to say. But if you think Biden or Trump is running this, you're out of your minds. It's all George Soros. And, it's really sad that you screw up your own country and you let all these people on the border who are murderers and terrorists. What are you doing? That's like letting people into your house. You don't know who they are, but you let them in. Okay. So there's a big problems here. Again, the Russia, China, all the BRICS, India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, they're all loading up with gold. The central banks of like Czechoslovakia and Poland and probably Brazil and Argentina and all the African countries are loading up with gold. Why? It must be good to have, right? So buy more gold, buy more silver. It's something you can't lose with, right? You'll when the boat sinks and you're in the gold and silver lifeboat, you won't sink. Put it as simply as I can make it. The paper is the Titanic, it's sinking. You either sink with it and go, oh, I didn't realize it was sinking. I didn't realize the water running into the boat would sink it. Or you can go onto the lifeboat, which is gold and silver, which can't be sunk. Your choice. That's about as simple as I could put what's happening in pure vanilla form. And you hear like a guy like Alligator McLeod, and he says, well, it's not the dollar going, it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down. The dollar's worthless. So how the fuck can gold? First of all, you don't even have a real price on gold. You have a COMEX price. Secondly, the dollar is zero. So is that it? Gold price is 2,300 and that's it? Because the dollar can't go down anymore. And do you not understand a free market where the asset priced based on supply and demand? That's why when you go to the grocery store, some things are more expensive because more people demand them. So it just blows my mind that the guy, masquerades as he's a stockbroker, as an economist, or he thinks he's a banker. So he talks in bank terms, doesn't really get it, doesn't understand inflation. It's not the devaluation of the dollar, it's inflating the money supply, which devalues the dollar, which makes the prices go up because it takes more dollars to buy it. If you don't know it, don't say it, but don't say it like you think you know it. And then you confuse everybody because they're listening to you. And the kicker is he's trying to educate people. And you're like, what do you mean you're trying to educate? Who are you trying to educate? You're giving bad information out. You're confusing people, you and Reichert and Rude and Andy Scheckman and all these guys. All you're doing is confusing people because you don't know what you're talking about. Being a master's in economics and learning it the way I did, I can break it down very clearly and concisely to them. And I told them I'd be happy to what do you call it, debate any of them. I'd blow them away. They wouldn't have a chance because they don't really know, right? So it's like saying, well, how does an airplane work? And they'd go, well, you get up in the air a lot and you fly very fast and you're at 30,000 feet. But they didn't answer the question. How does the airplane fly? And that's what I'm answering. And so that's the big problem with they don't understand money, they don't understand what gold and silver is, and they don't understand why gold and silver is. You can't print it, right? So anything, it's like the Mahomes. There's 50 of them. So because it's a low count, it's worth something. Versus if it had 5,000, it wouldn't be worth as much as the 50, right? Why is the 50 worth more? Because it's limited, and it draws in people. It draws demand to them because people go, oh, wow, there's only 50 of those. I want one. And that's really the key to it, right? You're drawing in people because it's limited, and you're drawing in people to gold because it is there. The government fights the gold because they realize how it is. So if you just understand that, going, well, why don't they let gold be a free market? Why is it a derivative market? Why is it a paper market and not a physical market? But when these guys sit there and they tell you this is the price of gold, and look at the price of gold compared to the price of oil, neither of those are real prices. They're all paper prices. What are you talking about? The price of gold is not real. It's paper. It's a derivative price. It's not the real physical price. So for you to make a statement that it's correlated to the dollar, or it goes, when the dollar goes up, it goes down, what are you talking about? It's all derivative. It's paper. It's somebody putting a put option in, lowering the price. It's not correlated to the dollar in any way, shape, or form. It's just based on the fact that uh, it's priced in paper. There is no physical price. That's why everything they say is incredibly stupid. They'll put up a chart. Look at gold and versus oil, and look, it hasn't moved. Well, they're both derivative prices. They're not real prices. A real price is set by the market. We're the market. So if the Mahomes card, if I go on eBay and sell it, and it sells for $2,000, that's the market price. That's the real price of it, is what I could sell it for, what somebody bought it for. That's a market. That's how you come up with price. And when you hide it by derivatives and options, and you don't I'm going to put this, see, I can't even put this on eBay because they're going to give me the paper price for it. So we got to kill the paper price. We got to get to the real physical price. But don't tell me in any way, shape, or form the real price of gold is $23.30. You're out of your fucking mind. It's nowhere near that. That's a paper price. But if I'm dealing in physical, so first you got to understand there's a difference. But if I'm dealing in physical, I don't have a market for it. I can't say gold's 2,300. Paper gold's 2,300. I can't tell you what physical gold is because there isn't a price on it. I can only tell you it's much more limited than the paper price because the derivatives are using leverage, and they're selling 200,000 ounces with 1,000 ounces. So they only have 4 or 5% of it. So I can tell you the physical price is 10 times more than the paper price because it's far more limited, which is what makes the price go up. So therefore, if it's much more limited, the price is nowhere near 2,300. Now, well, when will we get to this physical price mechanism? I think it all blows up as the U.S. blows up. I think that we'll get a physical price because that's what the Chinese and the Russians and the BRICS want. I think they want a real price. Because if I had 60,000 tons of gold, I'd want a real price, not a fantasy price. I want to be a real boy, not Pinocchio. And I think that's what people don't understand. And clearly, Alligator McLeod doesn't understand it. Clearly not. I think Egon gets it, but Alligator, it's not the dollar going up. Like he thinks like he knows. Like he's saying it like he knows. It's not the gold going up, it's the dollar going down. Guys living in a fantasy. You don't even have a price of gold. You're dealing in derivatives. So what are you talking about? And the dollar's got nowhere to go. It's already at zero. And therefore, where's it going to go down? How's the gold price going to go up in your world if the dollar can't go down anymore? So you're so full of shit, you don't know what you're saying. Basically, prices go by supply and demand. So if the supply is very limited in gold and the demand goes up, because all these dollar currencies go to zero, demand will drive the price up. It's got nothing to do with the dollar. So the dollar goes out. So now what's the price of gold? And then why is the price of gold moving? So we end up with $10,000 and it goes to 15 because of demand. He doesn't even understand supply and demand. What's this guy doing on TV? Why does he call himself an economist? That's the simplest thing you understand is price is information. So prices tell you supply and demand. They tell you what's going on. They tell you what's variable and what isn't. So that's why I tell you to be careful with who you listen to. You got to understand the concepts, and that's what I'm teaching you. So the gold concept is the physical price does not have there is no price on the physical ounce of gold. It's not 2,300. It's probably 23,000 easily, if not more. And that's why we need BRICS to finally go. And everybody says, well, we've been waiting a long time. Then, yeah, okay, you're still dealing with derivatives. So once it goes away, which it's getting away because of BRICS, just understand the variables change. Just like a guy, Oogly Boogly, transfers to Florida State, the variables change at Florida State. They don't have Jordan Travis this year. They got Oogly Boogly. So you got to understand, because of BRICS and the demand for gold is much higher, the price, why isn't the price higher? So anyway, realize that that's the whole key to it. So we will go from there. But that's why you buy gold, because the Titanic is sinking. The dollar is sunk. We're broke. Now, to answer Luke's question about Fort Knox, well, now's the time to show your hand there, young man. I mean, either we have gold or we don't. And if we have gold, what are we doing? Why aren't we paying our debt off with it? So we got to print $1 trillion every quarter, and we're sitting on gold. Why aren't we taking the gold out and revaluing it at physical price of 20,000 and saying, here's our gold, it's 20,000, and we're going to pay off our debt. And we're going to change to a gold-backed system. Why aren't we doing that? If we have it, what are we waiting for? I can't think of a better time to pull it out and revalue it than now. No, if we pull it out, the dollar will then lose its value. Why? The dollar has nothing to do with it. They're not correlated. The dollar is a medium of exchange. That's it. It's just you get paid and you pay your bills, and you use that as the medium of exchange. Not Bitcoin, not gold, nothing, just the dollar. Now, the best way to do it is to have the dollar backed by gold. Then it's still the medium of exchange, but you can't print it to zero. The idiots that the Fed's got one job is to keep the money good. Now, the Fed shouldn't even be in business because it's totally unconstitutional, just like the paper currency shouldn't be there. It's unconstitutional. So why nobody's saying, wait a minute, this is unconstitutional, it's beyond me. Silver is money. Alligator doesn't get that. McLeod doesn't. He thinks silver's not money. Well, it is in the Constitution. I don't know what you're talking about, why it isn't. But yeah, it is. And therefore, silver price is way cheap. And again, you're dealing in paper silver. I was watching a few videos on YouTube about silver. These guys are such morons. So Yankee Doodle Dandy, and there's one or two like that. So one old guy and then one other guy, and they're all like real nice, So people believe them because of their personalities. But what's a bad type of, how do you stack silver and gold, And one guy doesn't get it. I don't know. And the other guy says, well, you don't want to get fake silver. Really. The best way to do it is to buy the government back. This is a maple leaf. So buy a maple leaf. It says Canada. It says, the other will say fine silver. And that's what you buy. Just buy the government's coin and you're fine. Don't buy the Chinese guy that's not even licking silver or any of that stuff. You don't buy it. It's not to be, don't go cheap on it. This is your future. Do not buy Maple Leafs, Cougar Ants, Eagles, Buffaloes, even the bullion silver. You don't have bullion gold, but bullion silver. You want to buy the Buffalo, and it says 999 silver. It's got to be 999. Except for, I was noticing the Eagles, the government coin. The Eagles don't say 999 on them, but they say worth $1. So that's 999. The rest of them, the Buffaloes and the other ones that get minted, say 999 on them. So the only key I can tell you is make sure if you're getting the rounds, they say 999. Now they're not government issued. That's why they don't say $1 on them, but you don't give a fuck. The alligator said he didn't believe in intrinsic value. Oh my God, what an idiot. Intrinsic value is the $1 that says on the silver coin. It says it's worth $1. That's the intrinsic value. And you're not buying it. First of all, you're not paying $1 for it, and you're not buying it for the intrinsic value. You're buying it for the ounce of silver, for the silver value. So because there's a lot of silver, there's an ounce of silver on the coin, you're buying the coin. That's why it doesn't matter if you buy the government $1 US or the bullion Buffalo that says 999, 1 ounce of silver. That's why you don't care. You're buying the silver, and the best way to buy it is in a coin. So you get the 999, and that's pure silver, and that's fine. And anybody will give you whatever the fake market price of the paper market is. So that's what you're doing, is you're holding your gold and silver to get to the physical price. And people go into these coin stores and they sell their stuff, and you're like, you're selling your physical at paper prices. What are you doing? Now, unless you have to sell, you do never sell your physical gold at paper prices. You wait for the physical price to come out, which with brics should be October-ish or maybe September. Should be soon. And certain things with gold, the tier 1 and the Basel 3, and they have to have the physical, and the demand for gold and silver are through the roof. We should get to a physical price soon, but it's not here yet. And it'll be much higher. Even if they say, okay, here's a physical price, 2,500 or 3,000, we know that's not the real physical price. That will come out once all the dollars collapse. Then you're really going to see the real price. So you just got to last long enough to get to that. I was looking also at what were they talking about? I had it in my head. Something on gold. Shit. Yeah, let me think for a second. Let me not think about it, and then it'll come to me. So, okay. I just thought of it. See, I knew that would happen if I didn't think about it. The one guy, Yankee Doodle Dandy, was talking about gold bars versus gold coins. And in his incredibly stupid wisdom, he's saying, well, you don't want to buy the bar, you want to buy the coin, because the dealer won't give you as much for the bar as he will for the coin. In other words, there's more demand for the coins than there are for the bars. However, they're all 1 ounce of gold. Maybe now it won't, but if you can buy them cheaper and you just wait till we get a physical price, and again, it's the price of gold is 1 ounce. Not if it's a coin, not if it's a bar. It's 1 ounce of gold is worth X. So once the real physical price comes out and it's $20,000, believe me, you'll get $20,000 for the 1 ounce gold coin, and you'll get $20,000 for the 1 ounce bar. That won't matter. It's just this slight thing now where people are looking at it and they're going, well, I prefer the coin. I do too. But if the coin ain't there and there's just bars and the dollars collapse and the economy's collapsing and I need gold, I'm buying the bar. and it's as simple as that. So right now there's more demand for it because it's available. When it isn't, there won't be. It'll be just give me an ounce of gold. So to not buy the bar is stupidity. I would, as long as it's fine and it's 1 ounce, then that's fine. Then you said keep it in the little. It comes in a card, right? And then there's the ounce. Well, keep it in the card. Why? I have 1/4 ounce because the guy was out of gold, and I bought it, and I took it out and I put it in my little container, and I got a 1/4 ounce in the container. It's 1/4 ounce. It's perfectly legit. Like, why leave it in plastic? We don't care about. All we care about is it's gold. It's a 1/4 ounce of gold. That's all we care about. It says it on there. So what do I care? As far as it's being a bar or coin, and so I don't really care. And why do I leave it in the plastic? I don't have to leave it in the plastic. There's no reason to. What's the difference? I mean, as long as the coin itself says, whatever minutes from, and it's a 1/4 ounce and it's pure gold, and nobody cares. People are going to want gold. They don't need it in the card because I'm not buying it as a collectible. I'm buying it as money. It's an investment / I'm buying money. And that's all I'm doing with it. So I don't care about that. I do agree about PS70s and MS70s and MS69s. We're not buying the gold as collectibles, so we don't really care about the condition or certain years. We're buying an ounce of gold, but you can't. What are you going to do? You can't dig it out of the ground. You can't do anything. So your only option is to go to the coin store and buy coins or bars. That's how you get your ounce of gold, and that's what we're trying to buy is the ounce of gold. I don't care if it's a bar or coin, it doesn't matter. But I do want to make sure it's a country, it's Canadian, it's the maple leaf, it's the Cougaran, it's the eagle, it's the Philharmonic, because I know they're real and I don't want to buy fake. So if you just stick with that, and you can see, I mean, look at the color on this. I mean, it's gold right away, right? That's the key. If it don't look like that, if it doesn't look real shiny, it's not gold. Although some of the older Cougarans look a little bit faded, but they did put copper in them, but it's still an ounce of gold, but they weigh more. And so part of that they put in was copper, but it doesn't mean it's not 1 ounce of gold because it says 1 ounce of gold on it. But others, the Maple Leafs and the Philharmonics, and I think the Australians and everything, they all just make sure it's 999, but you won't see it here. Let's see. This is $10, 1989, Queen Elizabeth II. Oh, okay. So it says 4 nines on it, right in the middle. 4 nines. So you need, it's pure gold, and it says here 1/4 ounce. So you can see, as long as it's marked as Maple Leaf, it's Canada, you have no problems. As far as transporting them, I don't know. I don't see why the airlines are not looking for coins. They're looking for weapons. I've been to Europe a couple times, took some gold, some silver. Nobody said boo to me. I put them right in the tray. I had a bunch of quarters, and I put in, here's 5 ounces of silver, and here's a couple of gold coins. Nobody said boo to me. So I don't see that being a problem. And normally you don't. There's no worry about customs in Europe. They don't. It's only if you have something to declare. Otherwise, you just walk out to the taxi. And I'm not sure what to declare on it. This says it's. This is a. This says $10, right? So this says $10 right there, $10. So what am I declaring? Well, I have a coin worth $10. The intrinsic value. I don't really want. I'm buying it for in gold terms, it's really worth $700, but it's worth $10. That's what it says. It's worth $10. I'm stupid. I don't. I got it's a gift that says $10. That's what it's worth, and I think that that's how they look at it as it's worth $10. So we should be okay there. But anyway, you should be able to travel with it. We'll come up with the best way to, if you need to sell it, you go back to the gold store, right? So if you're buying it from a jewelry coin store like I do, if I want to sell that, I just go right back there, or I can go on eBay and sell it. Later on, we'll have to see when the prices are 10, 20,000 an ounce. I heard that my guy will give checks. It's still the same game. He gets it in. He gives you spot for it, and he sells it with the premium. And the game changes. There might be less buyers at 10,000 an ounce, but should be the people were bringing in inventory for him. He then sells it. So I don't know. He says he might have to do checks because he's not going to carry that much cash. As long as I can go to the bank and cash the check, I don't care. But again, the last thing we want when it's 10 grand is this. This is poison. We're getting rid of this. So we don't want this back. So if you're cashing your gold in, it's something that if you do get this, maybe it's $5,000, you're going to go on a vacation and pay your credit card with it, then that's fine. You're going to get rid of it. You don't want to like store the dollar. That's a no-no. So that's what we have. So that's really what your key is. You're trying to wait for the physical price of gold, not the paper price. And no, it's not the dollar going. It's not the dollar going down, not gold going up. It is gold going up, like any other product. It's the demand, supply and demand create the price. That's the knowledge. So 50 Mahomes, you get a price based on selling, right? If there's 100 people that want it, it's worth more. If there's 5 people that want it, it's worth less. Gold, same thing. It's supply and demand. That's how you create prices. That's how you get value. I don't see any correlation to the dollar and gold whatsoever, because we don't even have a price on dollars. There's no price on. We don't know what the dollar's worth. If it is, it's a bullshit price anyway. So we don't know what that is. It's price versus other currencies. So like a ruble, it's 89. So $1 buys me 89 rubles. It's funny how Alligator thinks nobody wants the rubles. Well, because it's a sanctioned dollar, but all he has to do is back it by gold and everybody will like it. But I'm in Russia. I'm probably buying rubles because I need to go to the stores. I need to buy food and go to restaurants and, souvenirs. So I would need rubles unless I can use my credit card. Anyway, so that's really what gold is about. The whole thing's a Madoff right now. There's no physical price of gold at all. It's all derivative priced. So when you're getting upset and no patience because the price isn't moving, you're not even playing the same game. It's a paper price. It's a derivative price. It's not a physical price. So until we get a physical price, we don't even care what the comex says because it's not real. So we're waiting for a physical price to come. We believe brics will bring it out, and we believe that's happening September, October. So we got a few months to wait. We see this comex prices go up and down. It's fantasy. It's got nothing to do. It's not physical. All we care about is the physical price for my physical gold. This is physical, not a piece of paper, not a derivative. So I don't care about what the paper prices are selling for. I only care what's the physical price. So right now we can buy it at the paper price and we go, thank you. That's why I always love buying it, because I know it's 10 times cheaper than the real price. It's getting to the real price that's frustrating us. Why don't we have the real price? And that's really what we're trying to get to. Anyway, that's about it. I am going to the pool. It closes early. Good luck on the baseball. And so college football, next phase is now going through the coaches. and kind of reading the summary of the new coaches, what kind of offense they're going to run. Again, you've got to learn first of all, you got to understand which variables are important, then you got to learn them. And you learn them more or less. The teams that are Georgia, you already know. Ohio State, you already know. It's it's the teams with the new coaches, Old Dominion, maybe the new quarterbacks. You're trying to go, well, what are they going to be this year? And it takes 2-3 weeks. And that's what I tell you. I can pick the Texas games and the Utah games now at about week 3, maybe week 4. Now I have the new teams. I know what UCLA is this year, right? Now I know. So then I can make adjustments to it. And that's really it. So anyway, have a good day. www.teaserking.com. We're coming up on July 4th. So if you're going to travel, I want to travel very soon. I'm waiting on the job, the interview, the girls. It's frustrating, but that's okay. I'm sure I'll go, and it's all I can do. So as much gold and silver as you can buy it as much as you can. If you can't afford it, buy silver. I know you can afford silver. I don't want to hear I can't afford silver. So at least get that, but that's going to take longer because they've got to break out of the paper. It's going to take them longer to break out of the paper silver, paper gold. It's almost done. So anyway, let's see, by the end of the week, it should be breaking up. And then in July, hopefully we get more to a physical market because the demand for gold is huge. So I don't know what they're talking about. Well, the ETF demand, who gives a fuck? Nobody's buying ETFs because we're telling you not to. They're paper. We're telling you to go buy physical. So the demand for physical is up, but they don't know how to incorporate that. So I don't know. There's a lot of misinformation from Alligator and the Andy Westman and Peter Schiff and all these idiots. They're just salesmen. They're just stockbrokers. They don't know anything, but they want to come out like they do. And they can say, look, I told you gold was going to go up, and I told you this, and I told you that. So they want to get credit to make money by saying, look, I told you this. I'm not doing that. I'm not a stockbroker. I'm an economist. Big difference. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not looking for commission. I'm not trying to sell you gold. I'm trying to tell you the truth. All right. www.teaserking.com. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy. www.teaserking.com.